everyone, Miss GoElectric here. This is the 2023 Nissan Ariya e4orce all-wheel drive. The version I have here is the fully loaded Platinum Plus. The launch of the Ariya is over a year late here in the United States. Many outstanding competitors have been introduced, some of them have slashed their prices, and some of them qualify for the thousands of dollars of federal tax incentives that the Ariya does not. With all of that considered, could the Ariya be the best choice for first-time EV buyers? On this channel, you've seen my e-mobility coverage and interviews with industry leaders, but most of my work is done off camera, working on educational programs with automakers when they launch new EVs. Over the last year, working across the country with Nissan on the Ariya launch, I have spent an unbelievable amount of time behind the wheel, on road, on track, through the winter and the summer, thousands of miles on test drives with thousands of guests, including salespeople, reservation holders, and employees at Nissan. And I have learned a lot. Today, I'm going to share all the strengths and weaknesses of the 2023 Nissan Ariya. The Nissan Ariya is a compact crossover which is within an inch length, width, height of the Nissan Rogue. But the interior of this vehicle is more comparable to the size of Nissan's mid-size crossover, the Murano. This comes in two different drivetrains, a front-wheel drive single-motor variant and a dual-motor all-wheel drive, which is called e4orce. There are 8 different trim levels, and there are 2 different battery packs. A standard range battery that has 63 kilowatt hours usable, 66 kilowatt hours for the full pack, and an extended range battery that's 87 kilowatt hours usable and 91 kilowatt hours for the entire pack. The range varies between 205 miles and 304 miles depending on which trim level you choose, and the competitors include the Tesla Model Y, the Mustang Mach-E from Ford, the Volkswagen ID4, and the Hyundai Ioniq 5 and Kia EV6. Since the price range of the Ariya spans from $43,000 to about $62,000 MSRP, you could also probably consider the Toyota bZ4X as a competitor, the Subaru Solterra, the Mercedes EQB, and the Genesis GV60. Let's talk about the exterior design. This comes in 9 different paint colors. This one here is called Sunrise Copper, but Nissan produces one of the best looking colors in my opinion on the Ariya, and that is called Northern Lights Metallic. It changes colors when you walk around the vehicle. It could be black from one angle, or dark green, or even purple. It is one of the most spectacular paint colors I've ever seen offered by an automaker straight from the factory.
Front-wheel drive Ariyas come with a bright silver exterior trim. There's a darker finish on the e4orce all-wheel drive models.
I really like that Nissan has incorporated some of the traditional design, like the reinvention of the V-Motion grille here with the turn signals and accent lighting. But now that this battery has active thermal management in the Ariya, it doesn't need a grille to push a bunch of air through to cool down the battery. So they've incorporated this front shield, and if you look closely enough, it has this pattern on it, which is reminiscent to the Kamiko technique, which is a Japanese age-old process where they put together these wood puzzles without the use of any kind of metal fasteners or nails. It's a really cool design element that they have started to put all over the place on this vehicle, and it's everywhere in the interior too.
Under the hood, there's no storage space or a frunk like other EVs have. Nissan chose to relocate heating and cooling components to the would-be compartment, creating more interior space in front. That flat floor makes it feel very spacious up front, but I don't like when my bags roll around down there while turning. Luckily, Nissan offers a dealer-installed accessory bin for about $100, which is helpful for securing items.
This front shield also helps contribute to better aerodynamics. Now, the drag coefficient of the Ariya is anywhere from 0.3 to 0.33 depending on what configuration you get. The illuminated rising sun logo has the name right on the horizon. And this is significant because in Japanese culture, everything is centered around the horizon. And it is a representation of balance. The Nissan designers have even included this uninterrupted horizon line all the way around the vehicle and inside the vehicle. Ariya has a few different wheel options. Standard is a 19-inch wheel, and then there's a no-cost 20-inch option that you see here. The 19-inch, as equipped as a Platinum Plus e4orce model, will be rated at 265 miles of range, and the 20-inch wheel will be rated at 240. So, although it is not going to cost you anything as far as money goes, keep in mind that it's about a 10% difference in range.
These aero covers on the 20-inch wheels deflect the air, but they're also durable and easy to clean. When drivers scratch them against a curb, covers are more affordable to replace compared to repair or replacement of a forged metal wheel. For drivers looking for a different style who don't mind a slight loss of range, there are 2 additional 19-inch wheel options in Nissan's accessory shop.
That brings me to the door handles. Now, a lot of EV competitors have a flush door handle built into the body side so that they can achieve a little bit more range, but Nissan has chosen to go with a more traditional route. And that brings me to a wider philosophy that they're going with this vehicle, and that is a more familiar feel so that they can get more first-time EV buyers into this car and still have everything be exactly where they expect it, not have too much of a learning curve. This is the type of vehicle for people with an active lifestyle, which includes utility. Some of the EV competitors don't offer a tow hitch receiver, but the Ariya does, and it can tow up to 1,500 pounds. I see more people probably putting a rack on the back for bikes or more gear, but this also has the availability of getting a factory roof rack too. Usually when I'm loading cargo, I have a lot of things in my hands, and so I really appreciate that they have incorporated a motion-activated lift gate that you can just swipe your foot under and it'll open up. When the seats are up like this, it's about 23 cubic feet back here, but when the seats are folded down, it's about 60, which is pretty competitive. But the problem is that there is no button to put the seats down back here while I'm in the cargo area. I have to go around to the side of the vehicle and pull this shoulder latch to fold those seats. I appreciate that they've included this privacy shelf, but I wish it was retractable because taller items interfere with it, and I don't really have a place to store this because it's one big cumbersome piece. There's underfloor storage here, and in the back part, there's the tire mobility kit so that you can pump up air in your tire if you need to, or fix a flat with the sealant. There's a little bit of storage over here with the portable electric vehicle supply equipment that comes with the vehicle. And if you get this equipment group, the Platinum Plus with the 10-speaker Bose premium sound system, there's a subwoofer here. Otherwise, you've had a little bit more storage. I set the front seat for my height, and I'm 5'11" and a 36 inseam. I have great space back here as a rear passenger with tons of room for my legs. It's also really great headroom, and there's an ability to recline these seats back an extra maybe inch or two to give me even more. There's a little bit of a cutout from the sunroof as well. The back passengers also have heated seats and USB-C and USB-A ports to charge. The materials grade in this vehicle is very nice. It feels more like a luxury car, especially when you're considering this suede material that's incorporated.
There are 4 interior options for the Ariya. The base model offers cloth upholstery. Moving up the line, Nissan offers a leatherette in a few colors. On the top packaging option, Nissan is one of the few EV automakers delivering genuine Nappa leather. Interior colors and materials are tied to certain packaging and exterior colors. I've heard guests say that Ariya's interior storage looks inadequate at first glance. Each door pocket has wide enough openings for larger water bottles. The space transforms, too. The center console has a unique power sliding feature, enabling optimal elbow placement or clearing the passage to the USB ports and phone holder up front. Within the center console, there's a wireless phone charger along with spaces for coins and business cards. Secret storage is available in a central dashboard compartment. In most trim levels, this is electronic and cannot be opened if the car is off. Over the course of the 4 months I spent daily driving this Ariya, I use this space regularly. The flimsy feeling plastic tray surface slides back and is advertised as a place to set up a laptop. I frequently used it to support meals while charging. The compartment has a great deal of capacity, and a typical thief would probably not recognize it as a hiding place. Nissan left a few cute Easter eggs in the interior. The sakura, or Japanese cherry blossom, here on the tray table and within the console pay homage to the tree, which symbolizes nobility and the transience of human lives in Japanese culture. That's why we chose this location amidst sakura to film the Ariya review. We wanted to get festive like the hanami, or flower watching parties, which have been a part of Japanese culture for many generations. This wood trim is standard on all Ariya models. The inlaid capacitive buttons respond to touch with haptic feedback. Most functions have redundancy, allowing the same adjustments through voice command or on the touchscreen as well. I have seen customers respond favorably to physical buttons or knobs. I will say this design really makes the Ariya feel premium and almost as if it should have been released as an Infinity product. One last unique element of the interior is the passenger side dual preset memory. I haven't really seen this on many electric vehicles. I could see this being highly convenient for couples or friends who road trip together and switch drivers regularly.
All right, so now let's get this on the road and talk about how it drives. So what does this feel like to live with and drive for thousands of miles over the course of a year? Well, let's talk about the riding position. It sits up a little bit higher. I feel like I have really great visibility. The seats in here are comfortable. When I'm spending $63,000 on a vehicle, I want to make sure I'm getting all the bells and whistles. And here are some features that Ariya has that I would expect at this price point that the other EV competitors don't have. One is real Napa leather. You do have the choice between getting a leatherette or a cloth, but having the ability to get real leather is important to buyers at this price range. Also, climate-cooled seats. When you're in the summertime and you don't want your skin sticking to the seat, those really come in handy. You have a head-up display in this vehicle, which also has a lot of the advanced driver assist features in it. A sunroof that opens up. A lot of the competitors have a fixed glass roof and it provides a lot of sun in the cabin, but it doesn't give you the flexibility to open it up and get some fresh air or have a power shade that completely blocks out the sun when you don't want it beating in. This Ariya has 4 different drive modes. I have sport mode, standard, eco, and snow mode. So to adjust those, you just press the button on the console here. I'll go into sport mode. This is when I get the acceleration of 0 to 60 in 4.8 seconds. You'll also hear there's a noise that's pumped into the cabin to make it feel more sporty, and it's kind of like an electronic sound. I think it would be great if you could download your own sound to incorporate in an over-the-air software update, or even just turn that sound off if you don't like it. The Ariya is using completely different motor technology than they did in the Nissan Leaf, which is why the regenerative braking feels so significantly different. In the Ariya, they're using externally excited asynchronous motors, which are really great for efficiency as far as highways go because there is no permanent magnet in them. It's an electromagnetic field. And in the permanent magnet motors that the Leaf uses, there's always drag that the vehicle is fighting because of those magnets. So in this case, with the regenerative braking system, E-step will come to a crawl and it won't come to a complete stop. So that's why they call it E-step versus E-pedal, which would be like one pedal driving and come to a complete stop.
Pulling back the shifter when you're in drive toggles B mode. This makes the regenerative braking the most aggressive and can be very helpful on steep declines. In many regenerative braking systems, the electric motors are doing the work to slow you down and recapture energy. In the case of E-step, the vehicle is always partially engaging friction brakes to slow the vehicle. That means Ariya's brake wear advantage might not be as pronounced as other EVs. I think Nissan did a great job calibrating the uncommonly smooth and refined regenerative braking feel as well. The vehicle has independent struts, making the suspension feel responsive and luxurious. The e4orce system specifically engages regen to minimize nosedive while friction braking to a complete stop. The brake pedal feels spongy and has a lot of travel. Since the e-step system only slows the vehicle down and does not stop it, the brake feel is minor but a frequent disappointment. One advantage to having the ability to turn e-step on or off is when you're in snowy conditions. I do not want instant deceleration and slippery roads road conditions. I want to be able to coast for maximum traction. I drove e4orce through several snowstorms in the Northeast, and driving without e-step or active brake regen inspired a great deal of confidence. I felt like it performed better than my Model Y, which did not allow any adjustments for brake regeneration settings at the time of publishing. Of course, in this day and age, a software update can change the driving experience.
This also has an eco mode, which limits the access to the throttle when you're accelerating so that you can be as efficient as possible when you're driving this vehicle. And speaking of efficiency, I've noticed over the winter months, I've been averaging 2.2 miles per kilowatt hour, which would mean that I'd get 190 miles of range out of the 87 kilowatt hour battery pack with the Platinum Plus e4orce on 20-inch wheels. But this one is actually rated at 240 miles. So that is about a 20% difference as far as winter efficiency goes. Although the winter range is helped by Ariya's heat pump, which is going to efficiently heat up the cabin, this also has 2 PTC heaters, which are very inefficient. One is a supplement to the cabin heating system, and the other one is for battery thermal management. In order to turn on the advanced driver assist systems, what I need to do is press this button here, which turns on all of the sensors. So the screen in front of me now says that I have access to forward collision warning, the lane keeping system, and the blind spot system. So then I would set my cruise control by pushing down on the toggle. There are 3 different modes when it comes to advanced driver assist systems in the Ariya. The first one is intelligent cruise control, indicated by a white display in front of you. And that is going to be using the radar system in front of the car to sense a gap in between you and the vehicle in front of you and slow down and speed up with traffic. Then it has green mode, which is ProPilot Assist, and that then turns on the camera here on the windshield to detect the lines on the road and inputs this steering to keep you in between those lanes, on top of what it's doing with the intelligent cruise control. And then it turns into blue mode if all conditions are met and we're on an HD map divided highway, which is what I'm in right now. This will turn the screen and system blue, and that means I can take my hands off and keep my eyes on.
Night drivers will enjoy ambient lighting, which wraps around the driver and passenger area, which changes colors indicating the level of active driver assistance.
There's an infrared camera right here on the steering column that is looking for my eyes, and if it can't see my eyes, if I'm looking away, or even if I'm covering my mouth because it is mapping out a face to be able to see where those eyes are, then it's going to alert me and tell me to look forward. So I have to pay attention when I'm in this hands-off mode for ProPilot Assist 2.0. Now, if the car cannot detect the lines on the road, it is going to immediately switch over to green mode ProPilot Assist and alert me to tell me to put my hands back on the wheel because I need to take control and start driving at that point.
The ProPilot Assist 2.0 system requires up-to-date local high-definition mapping data to operate. Most interstate and divided highways along my routes were mapped, but there are frequent gaps between exits. HD map coverage is shown at the Nissan website, but not in-car. If weather is poor, the sun is low, road markings are obscured, or there's construction, the system may fail to engage or disengage abruptly. The system includes lane change assist and passing assist, which alerts you when someone is traveling slower in front of you and has a clear path to change lanes. By pressing the Pass Confirm button on the steering wheel, the car will execute a pass as long as the driver's hands are on the wheel and eyes are on the road. There's also a Route Assist feature which will remind you to get off on your exit based on the program navigation using the vehicle system. With driver permission, it can even make a series of automated lane changes to get the job done. I loved using ProPilot Assist 2.0 and would turn it on every opportunity I could. Over the 4 months I drove this Ariya during the winter and spring of 2023, I never had anything unexpected or nerve-wracking happen when using the ProPilot Assist 2.0. I just wish that there were more roads mapped so I could have used it more often. The driver assistance information also shows up in the generally outstanding head-up display. Fortunately, the HUD comes standard early in the lineup, so most Ariya owners will have this. It is large, clear, and provides color-changing information like blind spot warnings. It can also show you speed limit information and speed limit signs. Ariya also recognizes speed limit signs and will change your speed automatically when you pass a new sign while using ProPilot Assist 2.0. Drivers can decide if the vehicle will exceed the speed limit by a set figure with a maximum of 5 miles per hour over. That automation takes a lot of stress out of highway driving. This is one of the quietest EVs I've driven, right behind the Mercedes EQS and Ford F-150 Lightning. Ariya's active noise cancellation is standard on the e4orce models. It is much quieter at highway speeds than the top-of-the-line 2022 Tesla Model Y long range. Overall, this is an easy car to drive with a delightful blend of comfort and obedience.
The Ariya has a pretty tight turning circle of about 35 feet, so when I'm trying to make U-turns like this, it makes it really easy, combined with its variable speed adjustment for the steering. All right, let me show you ProPilot Park. First, I would press this button here on the console that says Auto P with the steering wheel. When I turn that on, I have to make sure that I'm choosing the type of parking that I want to select, which is perpendicular or parallel. I'm going to use parallel. It's defaulting to the right side, so if I want to park on a one-way street like this on the left, then I just put my turn signal on. So I want to move forward and put my left turn signal on. Then the sensors on the vehicle is going to scan the left side. It's also going to use the cameras to see in the case if I had lines on the road. Once it picks up the triangle here, then it tells me what spot it found. I can select that spot, press the start button, take my foot off of the brake, and let it take control of the steering wheel, acceleration, braking, and shifting. The thing I like about especially the parallel parking system is that the car can tell me if the spot's big enough for me to fit. So in cities like New York City, when it's really tight as far as parking goes, this will take care of that and really become worry-free. I love how it has this augmented reality view to tell me exactly where the vehicle is going to go. Now it automatically put it in park, and now it's done. One of the unique things about the ProPilot parking system is that if the car can't detect a spot, I can just put down a parking spot and it will come up with a little box that I can adjust. I can move it back and forth or rotate it to find the exact position I want to have this car park itself. And I haven't seen that on any of the other competitors and think it's really neat.
Let's head to a charging station and talk about the Ariya's capabilities.
This is rather tight. I mean, like, sheesh. It's really nice to be able to have the around view monitor. There's cameras on the mirrors, one in front and one in the back, and it stitches together a bird's eye view. So it gives me really great visibility when I'm parking, especially when it's tight like this, pulling into a charging station. The cables are kind of short in a lot of cases, and so I need to get right up against the bollards in order to reach and plug in my car.
When it comes to charging, the Ariya has a 7.2 kilowatt onboard charger for home or level 2 charging. You can expect it to take about 14 hours to fully charge an extended range battery with those speeds. At a DC fast charger, the Ariya can accept an unimpressive maximum of 130 kilowatts. When I've plugged in at a low state of charge, for example 10%, I've seen 130 kilowatts held until around 20%. Ariya has a pretty good charging curve from my experience when it's charging at Tesla Magic Dock superchargers or when the weather is warm.
Okay, so my charging session could not initiate when I swiped on the app to start the charging session, and so it's telling me to unplug now. But the problem is that if I try to unplug, it's locked in the connector. And there are a lot of people that have had this issue, but the solution is to unlock, lock, unlock, lock, unlock, lock, unlock. So 3 times, and it will release. Well, I just pulled up into another stall to plug into a charger, and both connectors are unavailable here. It looks like there are 3 stations that are down, and all the rest of them are pretty much taken up and at higher percentages of state of charge. So the taxi next to me is at 97%. The one that's next to me on my left is at 89%. So just gonna have to wait to charge. And that is also gonna be a concern here, is waiting on other vehicles to finish up their charging sessions. This time when I plugged it in and I was able to tap on the charging station itself with my phone, which is an NSC reader, to be able to charge my account, then it worked. I have DC fast charged the Ariya dozens of times in the summer, the winter, with the front wheel drive version and the all wheel drive version. Nissan advertises that when I'm DC fast charging up to 80%, it could take as little as 40 minutes to charge with a peak rate of 130 kilowatts. In the wintertime, I've noticed that even when I turn on the battery heater 30 minutes to an hour ahead of time and have my battery cooling assistant on to make sure that I could get the optimal charging temperatures in the battery, it still only peaks at about 90 kilowatts at the very low states of charge under 10%. So in the wintertime, you can expect, usually if it would take 40 minutes, that it's more like about an hour and a half. In any EV that I've driven, when I plug in for any kind of charge, immediately there's a screen that populates in the vehicle to show me how fast I'm charging and how much longer it would take for me to charge. And in the Ariya, it doesn't immediately pop up. I have to go through the menus in order to find that screen. I hope Nissan pushes an over-the-air software update to this vehicle so that the charge time estimator screen automatically pops up when I plug into a charger, and it automatically preconditions the battery when I'm on the way to a fast charger, instead of having to go through the screens manually and turning on the battery heater myself. A lot of EVs on the market do this, and I think this one should too.
The light on the dash will change to blue when you're charging and blinks fast when you're at a low state of charge, and slows down the blinking until solid, indicating 100% state of charge. Nissan has a partnership with EVgo to provide up to 1 year of complimentary unlimited charging. This is bundled in with their EV Carefree Plus program, which is intended to provide peace of mind for new EV owners by providing things like out-of-charge towing, tire hazard protection, warranty periods, and more. Most of these elements are already included with the vehicle and are just marketed together in this program, but it's nice to have them offered in one spot. Speaking of warranties, Nissan maintains an 8-year, 100,000-mile battery warranty. Unlike most brands, Nissan shows battery degradation in dash with a 12-bar indicator. If the maximum state of charge dips below 9 bars out of 12 during the warranty, Nissan has to replace modules or perhaps the entire pack to improve the usable capacity. Battery degradation is normal in EVs. It's not unusual for a battery pack to lose 5% during the first year and 2 to 3% more annually. Unlike Nissan's notorious first-generation Leaf, Ariya has active thermal management and a sizable buffer on the battery's usable capacity. Their engineers have clearly designed Ariya to operate conservatively regarding charging and discharging. That approach should translate to above-average endurance compared to EVs using nickel-manganese cobalt chemistry. Nissan has a partnership with Wallbox, which includes a discount on the Pulsar Plus home station and installation nationwide offered by Coil. I've found that many salespeople are often unaware of this program. I'd encourage Ariya buyers to take advantage of it. Nissan's also offering a personal assistant to Ariya buyers, which means that they will have a point of contact at Nissan Corporate who can answer questions and offer ownership consultation during the first year. Initial education is crucial for the happiness of non-technical first-time EV buyers. Franchise dealership experiences vary widely, so I like the idea of a manufacturer stepping up to meet this need. In the past, I would have told you that only a certain type of buyer should consider a CCS-dependent electric vehicle because of the US network's low reliability, someone who rarely makes long-distance road trips and is accepting of a frustrating public EV charging experience. A lot has changed in June and July of 2023, when many automakers, including Nissan, announced their intent to access Tesla's Supercharger charging network in the United States. Eventually, participating car companies will integrate the smaller and more manageable NACS port instead of CCS. Starting in early 2024, they'll make an adapter available for today's EVs like the Ariya, so they can charge on Tesla's network. I think this is a true game changer for brands like Nissan But a good route planning system needs to become a priority for Nissan if they want to offer a total charging experience on par with what Tesla owners expect.
Since I have a Google Pixel, I use Android Auto. If I had an Apple, then I would use the wireless Apple CarPlay, but I tend to rely on my Android Auto and third-party apps like a better route planner for this vehicle, because I have found that the in-vehicle routing is incomplete. Sometimes it puts slower chargers on my route when I'm going really far, so like a level 2 instead of a DC fast charger. It also doesn't give real-time information about whether or not the charger is operational, if it's broken or not. And so I think it's crucial to be able to use things like Android Auto and Apple CarPlay in a vehicle like this.
The infotainment screen is positioned up high for great visibility while keeping your eyes on the road. The layout is convenient with easy-to-reach touchscreen buttons. You can reorder and customize the tiles on the home screen to accommodate your high-priority menus. Voice commands are more conversational than previous Nissan systems, with the ability to reach the system anytime by saying "Hello Nissan" or "Hey Nissan," followed immediately by your request. There's no need for a pause.
Hello Nissan, listen to Spectrum.
Tuning to SXM the Spectrum.
It ignores requests from anyone but the driver thanks to an array of microphones. In my experience, voice recognition is accurate about 95% of the time. It is extremely helpful for tuning XM radio and navigating to new GPS destinations. Ariya has Amazon Alexa built in, allowing you to ask the car to operate smart home features and perform other assistant features. This feature requires a separate Wi-Fi data connection. Consequently, I think most users would experience less friction using Bluetooth-connected Apple Siri, Google Assistant, or the mobile Alexa app to accomplish these goals instead. The infotainment system allows the vehicle's 4G AT&T connection to be shared as a Wi-Fi hotspot. The My Nissan app lets owners remotely unlock and lock the vehicle, set or schedule cabin climate control, start or stop charging, plan routes, check range and charging status, and schedule service. Generally speaking, it is simple and effective. Nissan includes data-connected services for 5 years, which includes the app's EV-specific features. Users will pay for a subscription package when it expires. Subscriptions are becoming popular amongst automakers to keep revenue coming in post-sale, and soon there will be no way to escape them. What are your thoughts on subscriptions like these? One of the last things I want to mention in this review is that Nissan offers some useful factory accessories that I think add convenience and enhance the ownership experience, like a virtual key which allows drivers to use their phones to access and start the Ariya. There's also a dual camera drive recorder, pet divider, and a hatch tent for camping trips.
This is the kind of vehicle that I would recommend to someone like my parents or neighbor who don't have an early adopters mentality and just want a vehicle that is familiar, quiet, comfortable, and capable. They don't want a learning curve like a lot of other EVs have, and with Ariya, there really isn't one. I generally don't recommend anyone buy an EV if they don't have access to inexpensive and convenient charging, which usually looks like overnight charging at their home. But if you've got all that, then you'll rarely be affected by the limitations of the third-party DC fast charging network and Ariya's DC fast charging capabilities. For price-sensitive buyers, Ariya's lower-end trim levels don't offer a strong value proposition. Towards the top of the line, like the Platinum Plus e4orce here, Ariya offers features that a lot of the competitors do not. For buyers looking to check every box on the list, the Ariya is actually closer competition to the Audis, Genesis, and Volvos, instead of the typical rivals of Chevrolet and Toyota. Nissan has sold about 600,000 EVs, and they've never had an EV fire. As far as I know, they're the only mainstream automaker with that track record. They have over 800 EV dealers, and that can make a real difference when it comes to service after the sale. The positives are the driving dynamics, the intuitive usability in terms of familiar layout and refreshing conventional operability, interior space, and the broadly appealing design language. But with all that considered, you have to be willing to look past subpar winter driving efficiency, inconsistent dealer franchise experience, and poor DC fast charging capabilities at the time of publishing. Though I've spent a lot of time with Ariya e4orce, I'm really looking forward to seeing how this vehicle develops during its life cycle and as over-the-air updates are introduced. Well, thank you all for watching this latest review. And until next time, drive, fly, ride. Go electric.